Hey guys, Alex here. Today we're going to go over a cloud degree deep dive from WGU. I've had quite a few requests for this video. I've done deep dives on the computer science degree and the software engineering degree, and the cloud degree would be my third deep dive. So I'll go over the classes in the degree. We will go over, towards the end, we'll go over some of the AWS certs as well. But we're going to go over a lot of the courses in this cloud degree. We're going to go over which course gets which cert. We're going to go over about 8 to 11 courses. So I'm going to pick what I think are the most important courses in this degree program and which courses you should give your full undivided attention to. So we're going to get into this. I think the cloud degree is a great degree at WGU. If you want to become a cloud engineer, it's a great industry. It's a great paying job. Like I said, there's a lot of crossover between, cyber, IT, cloud, etc. A lot of people do end up becoming cloud engineers because it does have a pretty high pay scale. You're probably not going to make like a level 5, 6, 7 software engineer who do sometimes make $400,000 or $500,000. Probably won't get that far doing cloud engineering, but you can absolutely make, if you reach the top of the ladder, you can absolutely reach 250, 300,000 with a lot of years under your belt. And starting off, you probably won't start off exactly as a cloud engineer, but you can start off as a cloud support engineer or a lower IT role, and that might be very close to 6 figures or, maybe a very small 6 figures. But once you do become a cloud engineer, you should be making anywhere from 115 to 150 starting. And if you're in California, that could be slightly more. Guys, let's get into this degree, and I'm going to show you course by course some of the most important courses in this degree. And I'll show you, in most of these courses, I will show you what the course entails. Is it attached to a cert? Is there a project to it? What is the project, etc. So let's get into it right now and try to get a detailed overview of this degree. As the first course we're going to cover today is Cloud Applications. So this course is the CompTIA Cloud Plus Cert, which a lot of people will say is the best entry-level Cloud Plus Cert. Now, it is the best entry-level cert, but at the same time, you want to make sure you get all your AWS certs or all your Azure certs. Or if you want to do Google Cloud, do those certs as well. But as a standalone entry cert, a lot of people will say this is the best one. Because AWS, Azure, etc., they all have like this entry cert that companies don't really care about. And CompTIA Cloud Plus is actually like a little better of an entry-level cert. So as a standalone, this is a really good one. And this basically will be the Cloud Plus exam. So what I've read in this course, I've done research for you guys. I've looked on Reddit. I've gathered, WGU course chatter. I've talked to people. And a lot of people say that the WGU material on this one, you can just absolutely 100% skip entirely. So how you want to pass this is either find like a really good Udemy course or, some kind of a course that focuses specifically on Cloud Plus exam. So, you can find a course that is in a written format, maybe even a book that focuses on Cloud Plus. It depends if you learn better from videos or if you learn better from like a book or like a written type of course. I learn better from reading myself, but I know there are people out there that learn a little better from videos. So, if you want to find a video course, I'd make sure like it's something very, very detailed, like well over 10 hours. If you're going to find a book, make sure it explains absolutely everything and all of the concepts that you need to pass the exam are on there. I would also find practice tests, of course. I think practice tests are like the best way of learning anything, in my opinion. You take the practice tests, you see what you got wrong, and then you go study that concept, right? Like a practice test kind of gauges like what you don't know already. And let's say you know maybe 20% of the material. You can just, hey, I already know that. I don't have to study that. I love practice tests. I think it's actually a fun way of learning too, because it's like you're playing a game learning. I would equivalent practice tests more to flashcards as well, right? But it's like this way that the flashcards are already set up for you. It's in like a test format, which kind of, helps mentally prepare you for the test. Like I said, I'm just a big, I love flashcards and I love practice tests. I think it's a very, very good way of learning compared to just reading or watching a course, which can be a lot more boring. So I feel like practice tests and flashcards really do help keep you engaged, and it creates this like fun aspect. But yes, I would definitely find a course that focuses on Cloud Plus. And there's many different platforms you can find that course. So WGU material, not going to really help you that much on this one. So this course does focus on the Cloud Plus cert. Next course in this program is Python for IT Automation. So with this course, this is kind of like a brand new course. I think it came out 3, maybe 4 months ago. It's pretty new. So this course, a lot of people say that they passed it. It's an OA, so it's a test, and they passed it just by doing all the lessons in the book. So do all of the labs, do all of the lessons in the Zybooks. Now, if you want to accelerate it though, I would do the PA right away, and whatever it says you need to work on, I would just focus on those lessons and those labs. So, and whatever you passed on the PA, I would just ignore that in the lessons and the labs, and that way you can accelerate this course a little faster. If you don't have any experience with Python at all, and you don't care about accelerating, you might try to aim for 3 weeks on this course. But most of you are watching because you do want to accelerate a college degree, right? So if you don't have any experience with Python and you want to accelerate, I would aim for a 12 to 14 day timeline on this. But if you do know Python, you're already pretty familiar with it, then I would try to knock this course out anywhere from 5 to 8 or 9 days, and you should be able to get it done with enough studying. Like I said, do the Zybooks, do the lessons. Anything you don't get, there's plenty of free resources online you can learn Python with. So this course, once again, it covers a lot of good Python stuff. Basically your standard Python course with obviously IT automation to it as well. So it's not a difficult class from everything I've read. Like I said, if you're brand new to Python, if you did all the lessons and all the labs, you would pass it definitely under 2 weeks, and you should pass it the first try. But once again, if you want to accelerate, you can just do the PA, and everything on the PA, like I said, study every concept on the PA, study all the questions, all the categories, like whatever the question and all 4 answers belong to, study those categories and the brother and sister of those categories. So, and that's how I recommend OA classes. If you watch my WGU acceleration video, the way to pass almost any OA at WGU, a little cheat code, is to do the PA right away. And if you study the question and all 4 answers to every single question on that PA, like, for example, like a category talks about something, you want to see if there's a broader category to that, and then study everything regarding that as well. So if you want to pass really fast, that is my advice. Make sure you master all of the information of that PA. Like I said, every single category, every single brother and sister category to that category, you want to make sure you master, and then do the OA. So a PA is a big component to the OA at WGU. So a new class, Python for IT automation, knowing Python for any kind of IT, cloud, or cyber work is extremely important, or data. So Python is actually extremely important in just about every industry, outside of software engineering. And it's still important for software engineering too, because a lot of people use it to pass interviews. So, but for on the job, like, it's so important in cloud. You need to know Python. You're going to be doing a lot of scripting, a lot of minor coding, and you really need to know how to program in Python. Next class here is called Cloud Platforms Solutions. And this course I have read from a lot of people on Reddit, Course Chatter, like I said, talking directly. This class is a bit of a nightmare. It is one of the hardest courses that is in this program. So you'll see a lot of people that fail this the first and second time. You'll see a lot of people that do pass, just barely pass, with they're right on that black ticker on the passing bar. So this course, it looks like a doozy. It's going to be a course that's extremely hard to accelerate. So I have read, like I said, a lot of Reddit threads. I've read a lot of information on how people pass this course. There's no quick cheat code. There's no quick turnaround on this one. There's a few ways, find a good Quizlet, although none of them are going to be perfect, and memorize that entire Quizlet like the back of your head. I would find like the highest rated one or whatever the most recent one is. Also, you might want to read the entire ebook on this one. Now, if you're trying to accelerate, maybe take the PA, right? Take the PA first before you read the entire ebook, and read the ebook where you struggled with on the PA. And also read the exam notes in the book and read the tips in the book as well. So also, if there's a section where your brain is just not understanding like a certain category, a certain section, I would just YouTube that or Google search that and try to understand it better. So a lot of people struggled on the VPN part of this, express route characteristics, P1 versus P2 AD features, and things like that. So like I said, just on the PA, I would also master the PA on this one. All of the questions, obviously there's not going to be the same questions on the OA, but master all of the concepts on the PA. Make sure you know the PA like the back of your head on this one, that you like on the PA. What I would suggest is understand it. Like, make sure every question, whether you get it wrong or right, make sure afterwards you absolutely understand it. Like, understand it completely and fully. Like, understand the question, understand the category, understand all of the answers, understand why all of the answers are there, etc. Completely master the PA, okay? So like I said, I'm not talking about getting 100% on it. What I'm saying is just make sure you absolutely understand, like the back of your head, all of the concepts, all of the information on the PA. So also, if you want to avoid this course entirely, you can take the Azure Administration exam. I think it's AZ 103 or AZ 104, probably 104. I think that's the newest one. And there's also the Azure Security exam you can take to get rid of this as well. So if you're going to do the Azure specialization instead of the AWS specialization, I might just do this Azure cert instead and just get rid of this nightmare of a class. But like I said, study, guys. And if you fail this one on your first attempt, don't get too discouraged. A lot of people fail this one on their first attempt. Just come back stronger for your second one. And the great thing about WGU is if you fail a class, it's not going to go in your transcript as, hey, you failed this. You're going to get a second chance at it. Just remember, study on this one. You got to take this one seriously. All right, guys, I don't want this video to go on too long. So basically, there's a few different specializations in this degree. So we're going to go over the Azure specialization as like one, chapter of this video, and we're going to go over the AWS specialization as well. So we're going to go over the Azure specialization first, and that's going to cover 5 different courses. So in this Azure specialization, you're going to have Azure Fundamentals, you're going to have Cloud Platform Solutions, which we already talked about. You're going to have the Azure Developer Associate, you're going to have Azure Data Engineer, and you're going to have the Cloud Computing Capstone. So there will be a couple overlaps here with the AWS specialization. One is the Cloud Computing Capstone, and the other will be Cloud Platform Solutions, which we've already covered. So we're going to get into Azure Fundamentals. And Azure Fundamentals, you can take the beginner level Azure cert to get rid of this class. It's AZ 900. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of AWS's intro level cert, and I'm not a big fan of Azure's intro level cert. I do think Cloud Plus is actually a better intro cert. You do want the Azure certs or the AWS certs, but you don't want the very, very basic like intro level cert where it just covers a broad range of things. Employers don't really care about that very, 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 beginner level cert that is extremely broad. So, they want to see you get the other certs like the Azure Developer, the AWS Developer, the AWS Solution Architect, the AWS System Administrator, et cetera, et cetera. So they want to see something a little more specific. So Azure Fundamentals, we're going to get into this class first, and I'm going to show you, what's on it, how you can pass it. Azure Fundamentals class, this is a class that most people seem to skip a lot of the WGU material. just like previously in another course that we covered. So a lot of people just studied, they used Microsoft Learn. They said that was extremely helpful for this. 100% use Microsoft Learn, and just find practice tests and find like courses that cover the Azure Fundamentals certification exam. So, find things that cover that exam, find things that cover that certification instead of WGU's material. So whatever covers the certification, like courses, practice tests, etc., just hammer that information, especially Microsoft Learn. Take as many practice tests as you can for that Azure Fundamentals certification. So, and that'll actually help you pass this way better than anything at WGU. I've heard a lot of people barely even use the WGU material at all for this class. So for that, skip the material for this class. Now, we're going to get into the Azure Developer Associate class, and in that one, this covers the Azure Developer Cert. And a lot of people say that you have to take the OA for this one, whether you get the cert or not. I guess that was a new rule WGU made. I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate, but a lot of people struggled with this one. So I guess this is also one of the hardest courses in the degree program. So the book is very dry. It's very hard to digest. Once again, this would be a course where you want to study outside material. Anything that covers the Azure Developer Associate, you want to study. Find practice tests, find courses. Although with this one, you do want to devour some of the WGU material because you're going to be taking the OA, and it's going to be some of WGU's own little quirks on the test. So, you can't ignore the WGU material entirely on this one. I did find a Reddit thread made 8 days ago where somebody passed this and they made a Quizlet. They said this course, like I said, was a big, kind of a nightmare for them, but they did pass it and they made a very detailed Quizlet. I will link to the Reddit thread down below for this course. So this is the Azure Developer Associate course. So the other course is the Azure Data Engineer course. And what I've read a lot on this one is a lot of people are just saying, hey, switch to AWS Specialization. This course is extremely outdated. It's extremely difficult. WGU's material is not very good, etc., etc. So I personally would recommend the AWS Specialization just because I think there's a lot more jobs, and I think the courses are better put together than the Azure Specialization at WGU. I feel like the Azure material they use is really outdated from everything that I've read. So Azure Data Engineer, though, it just sounds like everything that I've read is just read the entire book, do all the lessons, study, find some practice tests, find any outside material you can find on YouTube that you're not understanding concepts with. Basically, there's no cheat code to this one. It's just a really dry course where the material is a bit outdated. You're going to have to just kind of find any material you can online combined with reading the whole book at WGU. So, I couldn't really find too many cheat codes on this one. It's going to be a lengthy course regardless, it seems, unless you're already really, really familiar with Azure Data Engineering. So we're going to, that will cover the Azure specialization. And now we're going to get into the final part of this video, which is the AWS specialization at WGU. Guys, we're in the final part of this video, which is going to cover the AWS specialization at WGU regarding the cloud computing degree. And this is the specialization I would recommend. I feel like AWS is the most popular cloud computing software. It is the most, it has the most jobs. I've heard the learning curve. Well, I guess Azure might have a slightly easier learning curve according to most people, but it's kind of the same. It's not, one is not overly more difficult than the other. And these courses at WGU specifically are put together a little better and are not as outdated as their Azure courses. So, you got the Cloud Platform Solution course, which I already covered. And so we're going to get into 3 different courses. We're going to get into AWS Cloud Architecture, AWS Developer, which are both based off certs. We're going to get into Cloud Deployment and Operations. So we're going to start with AWS Cloud Architecture. So the Cloud Architecture class at WGU, basically, I've read most people just skip this material at WGU entirely. What you want to do here is find a course that covers AWS Cloud Architect, Solution Architect exam. So the AWS Cloud Solution Architect exam, you can find plenty of partner courses. Stephanie Merrick, I think, is one person that does it. There's also another guy named Cantrill. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. There's also free courses on YouTube as well. So basically, you want to find a course that covers that certification instead of the WGU material. And that's how a lot of people pass this course. It's how a lot of people pass this certification. So take a lot of practice tests. There's plenty of practice tests from partners that you can find as well. Most of them will be a part of the course. Most courses that cover the certification, most of them will come with like a few practice tests that are very detailed. Also, if there's any like little cheat codes, little cheat sheets that these courses have, I'd recommend following those as well. So make sure you know your S3, all different kinds of instances, VPC, private subnets, auto scaling. I'm reading there's a lot of different components that you need to study for this one. And like I said, just find a really good course, not part of WGU. Another course in the Azure Specialization is Cloud Deployment and Operations. And in this course, there's a lot of overlap with the PA. So in this course, you want to master all the concepts on the PA. You can't just take the PA and then just, hey, once I get everything 100% right, take the OA. That's not what mastering the PA is. Mastering the PA is understanding all the concepts on the PA, understanding all the material on the PA. You can answer all of the questions flawlessly on the PA. So understand all the categories on the PA, understand every question, understand every category that question belongs to, understand every brother and sister category that question belongs to, understand all of the answers, understand why those are the 4 answers, understand all the categories those answers belong to. Basically, completely master the PA. And like I said, anything that you don't understand, try to get as much help you can from maybe practice tests, YouTube, anything that you can find that you're not understanding correctly. So this one's pretty self-explanatory. Although even if you master the PA, I probably would add a little more of a refresher too. Find some YouTube material, find anything you can. This is also one of those courses, once again, where you're going to skip almost all of the WGU material. The final course I'm going to cover today is the AWS Developer Certification course at WGU. So you can transfer in the AWS Developer Cert and get rid of this course, or you can take it. This is just like the other ones that I've said. Find a course specifically for AWS Developer. I will say that AWS Solution Architect and AWS Developer have a ton of overlap. So, you're already going to know quite a bit. If there's a PA on this course, which I'm unsure if there is or not, I would take that PA right away and see everything that you can study on there. But for the most part, I would just find a AWS developer course, whether it's on YouTube or Udemy or basically any platform you can find. Also, the other people I mentioned, Stephanie Merrick, not sure if I'm saying her name correctly, but she has courses and practice tests on Udemy, I believe. There's also Cantrill, which a lot of people use for all AWS stuff. So like I said, there's a lot of good AWS partners. These individuals partner with AWS. You have to get partnership to actually have a course and advertise it as like an AWS course. And basically, they are a specialist in AWS courses. They are a specialist in AWS certifications. You have to have the partnership. AWS has to approve of your course, and you have to have the certification to teach the course also. So this is all, approved by AWS. That's why another reason I do prefer AWS certifications is it's so much more of a streamlined process. Azure's network is not, as detailed or streamlined as AWS's is. So AWS, all these courses are approved by AWS. It's not just these random courses. They have to get approval. Everything you learn from these AWS advertised courses, whether it's on YouTube or Udemy, etc., it was approved by AWS. Now, if it was free, it might not have been, but if it's paid in any way, it does have to have AWS approval. So plenty of good material. Like I said, I think the Azure Specialization is way better. It's way more updated. Plus, there's just way more jobs regarding AWS as well. So I would highly recommend the AWS specialization. I mean, if you're already working with Azure, if you already know Azure and you want to stay in that, that's totally fine as well. Just realize the classes are a little harder at WGU, and I've read some kind of a bit of horror stories on them, but for the most part, this is a great degree. The cloud computing degree is an absolutely fantastic degree at WGU. Being a cloud engineer is a fantastic career. So any of you watching this video, and if any of you pursuing this degree, and if any of you pursuing these certifications, you're eventually, if you power through it, you're gonna find a great career and make a lot of money. So, and that's what we're all here for, right? We're all here to raise our income. We're all here to make quite a bit of money. So I wish you guys the absolute best of luck. Thank you for watching today. If I helped you at all, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.